So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're watching from and what time of day it is. Coach Roel here. Folks, as I like to do, I like to grab Scott in between meetings and just kind of pick his brain and uh, and pose a question to him that I see on our several social media outlets. And actually, I wanted to ask this question to you, Scott. First of all, sorry, pardon my manners. How are you doing? How you been in the last 2 weeks?
Doing well, doing well. Sleep is almost optional these days, but that's okay. We got a lot cooking, and as the saying goes, we are making hay while the sun is shining, and so been very busy, but all is well. And with all the plates that are spinning, none have fallen. So I think we're in pretty good shape over here. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. I'm excited to see some of the emails coming in about some of the deals that are going through and the
hmm
presentations that's
hmm
happening. So the community is quite active still, isn't aren't they?
It is a buzz. It is a buzz right now. Yeah, the activity level is really at the highest I've ever seen, and it's just good to see everybody is digging in, from our staff to our students to our joint venture partners. There's just a lot of activity in our industry right now, and we're glad to be right in the middle of it, if not at the front of it.
Awesome. So I know you're quite a busy man, so I really appreciate you carving out a couple of minutes for us here to
My
address
pleasure.
some of the comments that we see on the different social media.
Yeah.
This one I wanted to, as I was saying, I wanted to kind of pose this one to you last time, but
hmm
there's only so many things you can squeeze in.
hmm
At any rate, I did see an article and a comment saying that the five largest publicly traded self-storage REITs,
hmm
they all showed positive gains in a couple of key areas. What do you think that means for the next rung down where our community tends to reside in, of investors, operators, and what can they
hmm
do to remain competitive in the new environment, in this
hmm
normal, as they
hmm
say?
Yep. If I'm not mistaken, first of all, to clarify, I think it was the article where they posted their first quarter gains. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I saw that as well, and so I guess what it doesn't change the answer to my question, but I guess one thing I want to make clear for everybody is that that was the first quarter, and so anything that anybody is looking for in terms of COVID related. January, February, March, of course, through March, there was not really that much of a disruption or change in self storage, at least not significant enough to make a difference during that time frame. But regardless, as we all know, self storage, once again, we do very well during boom times. We do very well during a recessionary times. It is needs based, and we're in the trauma and transition business. And so when there is challenges like what we've seen, we actually see a little bit of a boost. And so what happened in the very very beginning stages in March, when COVID-19 and the lockdowns began, is just that. We saw there weren't the normal rush like we have in spring, for people that are moving, that they're staging their homes, they're getting ready to sell while school is out, and are moving, which, always causes a need for storage. And we normally have that ramp up. But this spring was a little bit different during that time period in March. So there was that change, but also that also meant that people were in lockdown, so they weren't able to move out if they were planning to move out. So occupancy really stayed pretty level and pretty stagnant throughout the course of the month. We did, depending upon what college and when they made the call, get a boost from when all the colleges sent the kids home. And so there's a lot of things that went into storage. And then as we things began to progress, businesses were being shut down, and they were moving their inventory into storage. So we had another bump yet again. And then we also saw that people were moving home from work, and so they had to clean out the formal living room or an extra bedroom, or consolidate to bring to create now a new office. In some cases, two, if there were two folks in the house, the spouses both worked, and they had to create workspaces. So for that reason, we did see a little bit of a boost. And again, but that was we wouldn't have seen much of that during that March and April timeframe. So all that to say, looking year over year, once again, in pretty good shape. Speaking, for ourselves, we're still pretty small and pretty nimble, and we're below the REITs, above the mom and pops in the rural areas. So we're constantly, looking to see what the REITs are doing and reverse engineer what they're doing. They have the data, they have the resources, they have the manpower, and so we're always looking over the shoulder to see what they're doing and the decisions that they're making. And so what we've seen and what we've observed is that, again, we've made some changes to the way that we operate, putting up glass and having limited hours, and depending upon what state you're in, there has been some closures and lockdowns, but in all states. But a couple, which I think we talked about last time, Roel, is that self-storage is an essential business, and so we didn't really get affected. And there was only 1 or 2 states that I think actually shut them down. So we haven't reduced our staffing at our facilities by 1 hour through this the entire time, from the time that we're recording this since the beginning. We're also now gearing up for what we're seeing is people are coming back out. The economy is opening back up again. States are opening back up. So we're beginning to see that normal springtime rush and the activity levels. But then coupled with that, we're in a wait and see mode. However, we understand there's now approaching 30 million people that are out of work and unemployed. And yes, we are in the trauma and transition business. People will be forced to downsize. There will be more business closures, and they'll be moving their items into storage. People will be moving in with each other, moving back home. And during these times, during a recession, we know that self-storage is extremely resilient. And as a matter of fact, it many times actually operates a little bit better. We do better during these times. So I'm not sure if that's either a long-winded answer to your question that didn't really answer the question, but that's the kind of the state of where I see it right now. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, and kind of to expand on that, I remember
Mm-hmm.
I actually did see a couple comments where, I guess let me try to paraphrase as best as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Is it as simple as if you already have a facility or two that owner operators are kind of just sitting back and letting the business come in, or would you say that people still need to keep their advertising out there and keep pushing?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get an idea, an assumption of where you might be saying, but
Mm-hmm.
what would you say? What would be your response to that? That
Yeah.
people can just sit back and let the money come rushing in because we're in the trauma and transition business, or do we need to keep pushing out there and getting our advertising out there?
Yeah, well, we're constantly advertising. I mean, a self-storage facility, one of any size, you're always marketing. Even if you're 90, 95% occupancy, you're essentially full and you've got a couple of units available. The marketing doesn't stop. We spend a little bit more during a lease up if we have an expansion, or if it's a brand new facility, there's more dollars being spent on marketing. But it's always there. We still have Google ads running. We may have Facebook ads running, and we may again dial it back from time to time. So nothing has really changed at that site level, Roel. If they're low occupancy, they're going to keep that marketing up and keep the marketing dollars the same, maybe a little bit more. The good news is, as you know right now, is that marketing is cheap. It's very inexpensive now to be placing ads everywhere. Google, YouTube, Facebook. There's a whole lot of businesses that aren't marketing any longer, and so the cost of marketing has gone down considerably. So if you are in a position in which you're trying to gain some gain some market share from your competitors, or increase occupancy, now is the time that you either keep your marketing budget the same and you're going to get more bang for your buck, or you may want to double down. So sitting back and waiting for clients to come has never been an option, nor do I think that it ever should be an option. I think you need to put yourself in the best position to capture as many folks as possible that are looking for storage, and there's going to be a whole lot more coming up here very soon. And the idea is that you want to be found ahead of and above your competitors. So yeah, we continue to do so. We change. We haven't done any specific marketing campaigns surrounding the pandemic or the recession. I mean, it's just, I see some folks in some areas of the economy that are trying to capitalize on that. I don't ever think that's a good idea. We're not going to have any kind of, pandemic parties or, specials or naming it that. We're still going to rotate through and quarterly change our marketing plan and our campaigns just to stay fresh and in front of folks. And that even goes at the site level for drive-by. We're changing the colors of the flags and the signs and a different special that is advertised out front. Our ads reflect that, so it is uniform, whether it's online or offline. But just once again, catering to what that specific facility or what we're seeing in the market or in the timing of where we're at right now in spring. Spring clean out specials, that's always good, or a moving special. Those are the normal dollar moves you in. Public Storage has been doing this for years in the spring, and they run TV ads. And so our marketing campaign goes along with theirs, so that when somebody calls and say, "Hey, do you get that move-in special that I saw on TV?" Yes, we do. Of course we do. So we're matching what some of those folks are doing, but always using the popular campaigns in spring to just get eyeballs on us and make sure that we answer the phones, because we can never just sit back and wait for people to come in. We do need to go out and grab it and then be available, because it is needs based, to make sure they find us. Our websites are up to speed so that we can rent online, reserve online, and just make sure that when they're looking for storage, they find us and we have the ability to move them in quickly and effortlessly.
Hmm. So I kind of get the sense that there, you always recommend a certain high level of diligence in marketing activities, as it
Mm-hmm.
were.
Mm-hmm.
How important, or or would you like to point out if there's anything new or additional that folks in the community should focus on at this particular time?
Mm-hmm.
One example I'm referring to is looking on Sparefoot. I noticed that they had for a few weeks now that they have a little flag on some of the ads that says contactless leasing or
Mm-hmm.
move-in,
Mm-hmm.
which some of them have that flag, some of them don't.
Mm-hmm.
Can you comment on that, about anything
Mm-hmm.
slightly different,
Sure.
or
That's
yeah?
we're a very static industry, as you know real well, and so there's not a whole lot that comes down the pike that is really new or earth shattering that can be added to self storage. So through the years, however, technology has taken a bigger role, and we've made the biggest strides in our industry in terms of technology, from the kiosks that were put in place back in '04, '05, '06 that became popular. They have come down in size and price ever since then, and we are now seeing many facilities and owners that are choosing to run their facilities unmanned, so that you can walk into a small area, and maybe they have office hours as well. But even after those hours, another door may go down, blocking off the inside of that office. But now we have a more of a vestibule in a smaller area that has one or two kiosks in it, and has a kiosk in which you can then purchase a lock. And then also the monitors are all in there so that you can see the facility, see the surveillance and the security, but it's just an area in which you can go into at any time of day, and to be able to rent a unit or make a payment online. So, we've been seeing changes to that, in recent years, but now during this entire time, that is a fear and a concern. And in order to operate your business, you need to do so, or at least be conscious and courteous of folks that don't want to come near anybody without a mask or gloves or touch. And we see this at the grocery stores, other retail establishments where there's plexiglass put in place. Nobody ever touches anybody else or anything. And there's no exchange of even fingerprints going on. And so, most facilities haven't had to change much in order to make that happen. So, yes, the contactless, touchless rentals is the buzzword that we've used in most of our marketing, and that we've seen in more ads than contactless. But whatever is accepted most widely is the term that we'll use. And in our offices that in which we do have somebody that is there 20, 30, 35 hours a week, we have placed plexiglass in place, and we allow them to swipe their card. We wipe the machines down, everything else down, and we put the rules. We place the rules on the door out front. That usually adheres to where we're at in this stage and what that state has done to open up and what is still required, and then what we do, which is obviously always erring on the conservative side. So yes, that is front, first and foremost, and upfront on our websites as well. We state that, and those facilities in which we are a part of Sparefoot, we have done the exact same thing. And I think now that you mention that, I believe that is the term that Sparefoot is using in general across all of their portfolio. And we at the store level and the other owners, we can choose whether we say contactless or touchless or whatever that looks like. So yes, we're making that available. Is it a marketing piece? I suppose it could be deemed that way. But yes, when people are looking, for that, then we certainly want to make sure that we are adhering to those rules, and we provide them. We give them no reason not to come into our office and rent from us. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. So I know you're quite busy, and we are just about at our time limit, as we usually like to try to keep a hold to. So thanks again, really, for
My
taking the
pleasure,
time
Roel.
out to allow me to pick your brain. I'll
Hmm.
keep searching and combing the comments for other things that I can bring to your attention.
No, please do. I appreciate it anytime. I don't have as much time or be able to pop in his office as I used to be able to on Facebook and the other social media outlets that we have. And so I appreciate you doing that and continuing to keep our self-storage at Tribe informed and letting Storage Nation know what we are doing out there. So always appreciate our time, Roel. So keep them coming.
Appreciate yours, Scott. Take care.
All right. Thanks. You too.
Thanks again for joining us here at Self Storage Investing. We really, really appreciate it. For more great content like this, make sure to click the subscribe button below this video. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Bigger Pockets. You can also visit us at our main website at selfstorageinvesting.com, where you'll find even more free content, our ebook, and registration to our free webinars and education courses, and much, much more. Once again, for more great content like this, please click the subscribe button below. Thank you.